Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. I'm sitting down in my Chunny get ready with me area for another informal hangout video. I don't know if y'all are liking this format. I'm really enjoying doing serious educational stuff over in my definite filming space, and then sprinkling in a couple of these still educational but more informal chats over here. I like the change up in filming location, and I don't know, when I film here it makes me feel more like I'm hanging out with y'all, so I'm enjoying it. But today I want to talk about something that I do get asked occasionally, but I think is worth kind of expanding on, and that is, can piercers fire a client? And I kind of want to make this video in part for other piercers and apprentices and people in the industry who follow me, just trying to hear a discussion about healthy boundaries. But also, I kind of just think it's important for more service providers to kind of talk very transparently about boundaries and client interactions and relationships. There's been this very prevalent mindset in every facet of customer service, from retail to service providers like hairstylists and nail techs and tattoo artists and piercers, all the way up to doctors and medical professionals and surgeons, that the client, the patient, the shopper is always right. This mentality that every store has to be for everybody, every service provider has to be for everybody, and you always have to work with every single client. And I don't frankly think that's ever honestly been the case, but I think everything that's happened with COVID, especially with customer service and retail, has really brought that to the forefront and made people realize that. Especially people in service industries. As someone working in a service industry, I think we get so ingrained in feeling like every single client has to be our client. We have to be the right fit for every client. We have to be able to do all of the things in order to accommodate every single person that walks through the door. And that's just not true. One of the best realizations I had, and I was starting to come to this realization while I was still working at Icon, and I have fully come to this realization since taking my hiatus and guesting and traveling, is that I am not the piercer for everyone. I'm just simply not. And not everyone is the client for me, and that's completely okay. But the first step of this is only realizing those boundaries and accepting that. And if y'all want me to go into a whole in-depth video about not being the piercer for everyone or things like that, I'd be happy to. But that's step one. Step two is actually actively enforcing those boundaries. And that's kind of the harder step, but also the really important one. And a very valid way to enforce that boundary is that sometimes piercers do get to fire the client. Now, when I say fire a client, I mean ending the professional working relationship with a client. And there's a couple of reasons why a piercer may feel the need to do this. The biggest one is a client who is not respecting boundaries or respecting studio policies. And unfortunately, I think many of us who work in this career and many folks who work in service industries similar can relate to this. I have had to deal with clients who would message our staff on personal accounts at all hours of the day and night, who would go to very great lengths to attempt to get staff's phone numbers or personal contact information, and text or call them or message them asking about appointments and jewelry orders. And when they were told, hey, so these communications need to happen through professional channels. If you want to book an appointment, you got to message the studio page. Or if you have a question about the drawing for your tattoo or the jewelry for your custom order, you need to message the artist. And the client would just respond with, but when I do that, it takes them 24 hours or longer to get back to me. And we would say, well, yeah, it's stated all over our website. It's 24 to 48 hours before you're going to get a response, because the artists and piercers are busy with other things, but you will get a response in that time frame. And the client just responded with, yeah, but if I just we're friends. So if I just have your number, I can just text you about it and you can just tell me about it. And it's no, we ended up ending that client relationship and unfortunately telling that client, hey, so I don't really think we're the right studio for you, and best of luck. Here are some other studios that carry quality jewelry or that do similar styles of tattoo, but I don't think we're going to be the right fit for you. And that's probably the primary reason that I have needed to fire clients, is just really not respecting personal boundaries. especially now that I'm on my hiatus and I'm taking time guesting and traveling. And I'm abundantly open that my inbox is always open, especially for clients who I've pierced. I'm always here to help them. You can message me anytime, things like that. I just ask that I be given the grace of a 24 to 48 hour response period. If you flag something like emergency or urgent, I'll definitely do my best to get back to you within that time frame. But sometimes I'm traveling all over the place. Sometimes we're no longer in the same time zone. So what seems like a totally normal time for you to message me is midnight for me and I'm asleep. Or sometimes I am taking a day off. My phone is not on me. I am an independent person living my own life. And I have had a number of people who have not been able to respect that boundary and who have expected me to respond immediately all of the time, always. And it's one thing to like help a client out who's in an emergency situation. Totally get it. You know, something's wrong with your piercing, you really need help. I got you. I am there for you. It's another thing to be getting rude with me because I didn't answer your question about a piece of jewelry you saw on my Instagram within 2 hours of you asking me it. You know, like service providers, piercers, tattoo artists, hairstylists, nail techs, we are people too. We have lives. We have relationships and kids and animals and things to do. And as much as we would love to be able to answer every question or every message immediately magically, we simply can't. We can't be working and on all of the time. There's got to be business hours. There's got to be times that we work and times that we don't. And for the piercers and the apprentices in the front of house watching this, it is okay to set a boundary on your personal time. And it is okay not to answer your messages on your day off. And it is okay to take that space for yourself and be a person. You do not have to be on 24/7. Another really big element for me in firing a client is like being respectful. And this seems like the bar is very low, but unfortunately, especially after COVID, the bar is very low. If, you know, I get it, you're having a bad day, the jewelry you want isn't in stock, or we had to tell you don't have the anatomy for the piercing you want, or maybe the piercer's a little backed up, they're running a little behind in their appointments. I get it, like, things happen, days suck, but there is never a reason to talk to me or my staff or my front of house super disrespectfully. And if you want to know the fastest way to get fired as a client, it is if you're going to curse me out or curse my staff out or be nasty to me or the people I work with, especially if it's over something small. If you are going to have a screaming toddler meltdown in the lobby because you forgot your ID and we can't work on you without your ID, just simply don't bother coming back. You are not a client that I'm going to want to work with, and I'm going to make it abundantly clear that not only will you not be getting pierced today, but you will not be getting pierced by me ever. You will not be welcome back. We gotta treat people with respect no matter what. And while fortunately, especially guesting and traveling, a lot of people that hasn't been as big of an issue because people are coming to see me specifically. I've definitely dealt with people who are really sweet to me, but really, really rude or disrespectful to front of house staff. And I have pretty low tolerance for that too. It is not going to fly if you are just being polite to the piercer, but you're being really, really nasty or even name calling or hurtful to the staff up front. And again, to like the industry folks watching this, like you do not have to take being spoken to that way. If a client is screaming at you or getting in your face or cursing at you or calling you names or slurs, you don't have to be the piercer to work on that client. You can simply say, I'm sorry, I'm not the one for you. This might not be the shop for you. Like, please take your business elsewhere. And that's okay. That is completely okay to do. And I especially think as piercers, we get so worried about like getting the 1-star review or the client who talks badly about us online or things like that. And I am here to tell you, it's worth it. It's worth it. Do not let a fear of a 1-star review or a bad comment online or something like that allow you to let a client treat you or your coworkers like they're less than human and yell and scream at you or curse at you or call you terrible names. It's not worth it. And I as I'm filming this, I'm thinking like, how wild this sounds that I feel like I need to make this whole video and sit down and say this out loud to other piercers and apprentices, but I really do, because so many of us are trapped in studios where either our bosses expect us to just put up with this type of behavior and treatment, or we're really just so unbelievably brainwashed by capitalism and like the culture that surrounds the service industry that we really feel like we have to put up with these things, with never being able to have a day off and having to answer all of our messages immediately, and allowing clients to completely disrespect us and say terrible things to us. And I basically just want to make a video to say that you don't have to do that. Like, you can just fire a client, and that is completely valid. And you do not have to work with every client that comes in your door, especially if they make you feel uncomfortable, especially if they make you feel unsafe, and especially if they're not going to respect your boundaries or the studio rules and policies. You don't have to work with that person. And I feel really strongly about this because this was something that I struggled with for a long time too. I continually made exceptions for clients to violate boundaries that I'd really clearly established. And I worked with clients who had been really rude or disrespectful to me. And I worked with people that I just felt unsafe around. Clients who had made comments to other artists at my studio or made comments in front of me that just really made me feel incredibly unsafe. And I felt like I had to. I felt like I couldn't turn away the client. I couldn't turn away their money. I couldn't risk the bad review. And it took a massive drain on my mental health to work with clients like this and to like basically put every client who walked in that studio before myself. And I don't think anyone should have to do that. I certainly don't want to do that anymore. And I don't want other people to have to too. I also think it helps serves as a reminder that like it is completely okay for service providers to set certain boundaries when it comes to clients. And those boundaries are going to look different piercer to piercer, apprentice to apprentice, provider to provider. And from the client's perspective, if there's a boundary that doesn't really work for you, if you're someone who really wants a piercer that you can message 24/7, or you want a studio that's going to work with you in a certain way, seek that out. Don't stick with a piercer or a studio where you're not getting the service that you want either. Everyone is going to be different, and everyone's boundaries are going to look different. And the great thing is, you're not going to be the client for everyone. Piercers aren't going to be the piercer for everyone, and that's okay. There is someone out there who's going to be the good fit for you. And piercers, there are clients out there who's going to be the good fit for you. And you don't have to put yourself in situations that aren't healthy for you or aren't working for your mental health to manage that. Yeah, so thank you for sitting around and hanging out and letting me kind of ramble about this. And as per usual, if you like my content, please hit like and subscribe. It means the world to me. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Piercers, apprentices, front of house, remember your boundaries. You're worth it. Bye.